Welcome back to Guardians Reborn. Today we will be looking at deck building. Deck building seems to be the number one thing that everybody asks about, so let's delve into this. There are a few things to remember when building a deck, but outside that, you're free to do whatever you want. You need a minimum of one Guardian, 3 Strongholds that must all match left, right, and center must be the same pieces. All your shields must be the same design. If you play with standard bearers, there can only be one of those in play at a time, so we need to keep that in mind. The minimum deck size, not counting your Guardian or Stronghold, is 55 cards. A play set is 5 copies of a card. So you cannot have any more than 5 copies of any card, with the exception of shields and basic terrains, which you can have as many of those as you want. Shield terrain cards, which I can look at a few of those, are not an exception to the unlimited shields, unlimited terrain. So there's only 5 allowed per deck for those. That's it. That's all your limitations for building a deck. So let's go ahead, and the theme that we're going to use today is a deck that I call Popcorn. And it will become apparent here in a minute why I'm calling it that. And we'll put this V2 because I already have a V1 going for this. Alright, so we are going to build a deck. It's rather a meme deck, but it'll be fun to play with, around good old Farmer Brown. Farmer Brown is a command card, and it says you may detonate any of your barnyard animals during primary attacks. This destroys both the matchup creatures. Guardians are not affected. So basically, we're just going to go around with some barnyard animals and blow up your opponent's creatures and try to get shield kills out of it. So we'll go ahead and grab 5 of him, because he's kind of the center of our deck. Let's also we'll do 5 Dispel Magic, which is, our counter spells. You always want to try to have some of these on hand. And it negates any spell, item, or command card effect. So this is a very potent card, and these are commons, and they're one of the most versatile in the game. Another card that I like to use is Control Destiny. Look at the top 6 face-down cards from your deck, place them back in any order you wish. Place cards you don't want on the bottom of your deck, play immediately after you pull your up card. So basically, this lets you just filter your deck. If you're looking for something, if you're low on shields, you're low on terrains, you're low on, one of the other key cards for your deck. So we can go ahead and we'll add 5 of these. So now what we can do is we can go over here to type, contains. Oh, is it not? Oh, okay. Sorry. I believe it is class. Yes, we don't want type. We want class. Contains barnyard animals. Here's our list. We have mule, horse, goat, Floyd the Flying Pig, cow, and buzzard. Doing this made me realize, I wonder if... Okay, so I need to fix the plugin. This is something that I found. There is a Fangus the Hunter. Oh, it's Animal and Henchman. I thought he showed up as Barnyard Animal. There are 2 versions of him, so we don't have to worry about that. We will go ahead and put back our filter for Barnyard Animals. So I'm going to try to make this accessible to everybody, so we're not going to use this Drifter's Nexus card. But let's go ahead and start adding 5 of every one of our barnyard animals. 5 cows. And this is a Dagger Isle, so we can use those. So you see already we're at 40 cards. And that's before we add anything else to this deck but barnyard animals and Farmer Brown. So one thing that I like to follow, it's a little formula that I came up with, not supported anywhere. You can take it or leave it. It's just a basic general guideline. and I'll put this in the description below. When I build a deck, I like to do 1 Guardian and 3 Stronghold, which are your minimums, a full set of 9 shields, and 1 standard bearer to match that shield set. I only play 1 standard bearer because you can only have 1 in play and you don't want a dead card in your hand. Granted, you could turn that into a face down terrain if you come up with a second one, but I like to play more on the I'm winning side of things versus the, well, that one died, I have a backup coming. Again, personal preference, nothing outside of that. And then a 60 card deck on top of that. So basically, before we add our shields, this number here, our deck will say 60, will be what we're aiming towards. So, as we see, even with all of the barnyard animals and Farmer Brown, we're only at 40 cards. 55 is the minimum. Another thing to keep in mind is that blowing up creatures with Farmer Brown, it says Guardians are not affected. So how are we going to win? We can win by shield kills easily. Just go through, plow through, and just blow everything up and get shield kills that way. Because Farmer Brown will still live due to him being the command card. So even if you blow up your entire shield, you still have Farmer Brown as your command card. He still counts for a 10 for the space. So we have that going for us. But we also can augment this with one of my favorite types, and that is Knights. So we see Horse here, command card, your first Knight receives +6 Vitality. And so this card can play double duty if you don't have your Farmer Brown yet, but you have a handful of Knights. The really cool thing to do with Knights is St. Valentine's. When played on a Knight, currently in a matchup, both the Knight and its opponent are destroyed. This will kill a Guardian. You can take a Knight up to a Guardian, play St. Valentine's, and it blows up and you win the game with a Guardian kill. So let's go ahead and we'll add 5 of these St. Valentines. And let's go ahead and we'll look at class contains Knight. Alright, so here's our Knights. Well, we see there's a Drifter's Nexus card. This one is really nice, but I'm not going to include him for the purposes of this video. Again, just because if people want to build this in real life in paper form, this might be kind of hard to come by. But it destroys any creature that has the ability to fly, and it's a Knight, and it's Vitality of 6, which is really nice to fit under a shield. So we are going to add some archers. So he's a 3-point attack and Vitality 6. We'll just start adding 5s of everything, and then we'll pare it down. Axeman, a nice 7. Captain. Corporal. This is a Knight, but he's from Necropolis Park. So if he's the only Knight in play, he gets +4 to his Vitality. So basically, if he's the first Knight that you play, you can play your command card of Horse, which will give +6 Vitality to the first Knight played, and he will give +4 to himself because he turns himself into a 15 just by playing a command card and him being the first one out. So it's kind of fun to do that. Lancer we don't need. Marshal +2 Vitality to all Knights. Paladins are hard to get. They're R1s. We're going to skip that. This is another Drifter's Nexus, and we'll grab a Swordsman. So we see right now we're already at 75 cards. Well, we need to get this number down a little bit. Like I said, our target is 60. So we need to take about 15 cards out of here. So let's look at some of the stuff that we can knock down a little bit. So our cows. Cows are one thing. All creatures in your opponent's combat hand with a base vitality of 3 or less can't attack and don't count towards the victory, but they can be attacked by secondary attackers. This removes a bunch of weenie creatures from play, and then you can pick them off if you want. He's not bad, but let's go ahead and we'll drop him down. We'll go ahead and drop him down to a 3. See, what else do we want to do? Let's expand this out a little bit. Floyd the Flying Pig. All your creatures are Vitality +2 when you use a command card. We're not going to do that. So he's just a 2 that we blow up. Let's go ahead and let's drop him down to a 3 as well. Oops. Wait, he went to a 2. I don't want that. There, now he's at a 3. Okay. And our Buzzard, we can drop him down to a 4. What else can we do here? Let's do a horse down to a 4. A mule down to a 4. Axeman, he's a 7. He does have a really nice off-color bonus. If you get him... Come on. Work with me here. A 4, if you're playing... if he finds an elemental. But he's also a 7, which is... It sounds a little crazy. He's a little bit harder than a 6 to put into a shield. So, let's see. Axeman, we want to get to a 3, huh? Alright. Next up, let's see. So we need to drop some of these 5s down to 4s. We got an archer down to 4. A marshal down to 4. And a swordsman down to 4. Alright. So, big thing is, we only have 5 Farmer Browns and 5 St. Valentines to blow stuff up. So right now we still have, let's start, we have 3, 6, 10, 14, 18. We still have 18 creatures that we can blow up, which is about 3 per Farmer Brown plus. So we're doing pretty good there. And then for blowing up knights, we have 7, 11, 15, 19, 24. So we still have a ton of these, which we should drop down. Actually, you know what? I don't think I used corporals in my initial build, so let's take all of those out. And I don't think I used captains. There we go. Okay. So remember, we're trying to get this to be a 60. Right now at 53. Now, the other thing to add to your Guardians deck to make your life easier is actually type contains terrain. We need terrain in order to play on the battlefield so that we can move across the field. Now here's a shield terrain card. Shield terrain works as either a shield or a terrain, just like it says. Uses either a terrain card or a shield card. If used as a shield, this shield is now 25 limit for vitality. Shields are normally limited to 30 points. So you take a 5-point penalty for using a shield terrain card versus a regular shield. These were implemented to free up deck space when deck building, so that you could just include shield terrain, 5 shield terrain cards, and you got terrains covered, you got shields covered, you're good. I haven't found a use for them yet. They might fit in this deck since everything's kind of a low vitality. Farmer Brown being a 10, but all your barnyard animals are 2s and 3s. So yeah, a shield terrain card would probably work with this deck. With this build, I'm not using one, but that doesn't mean that you can't. Anything that I'm doing here, obviously you can change, you can augment, you can just throw this whole thing away. Whatever you want, I'm just giving you an example. So let's look at some of the terrain cards. So we have Necropolis Park, Barrow Downs, counts as mountains and woods. Iron Crag, Brew Mountain, from Drifter's Nexus, counts as mountains and terrain. No beer bribery is allowed on this space. which is nice to use for like our knights. Oh no, they're gold bribery. Um, Anything that can be bribed by beer. I can't think of them off the top of my head. There's a whole class that's bribed by beer. Well, outside of pirates. Pirates are bribed by everything. Jungle, no command cards during combat. We do not want this card. We need our Farmer Brown to go around and blowing up barnyard animals. We do not want a jungle. That is Necropolis Park. Mountains, yeah, let's go ahead. We'll throw in 2 mountains. They're basics. Rivers and lakes, yeah, let's go ahead and throw in a rivers and lakes. We'll throw in 2 of those. The rocks at Ruadan counts as mountains and dry heaps. Only guardians may channel into combat on this space, and at -3 CMP per stone. That's kind of harsh because most guardians are only able to channel, for 4, 5, 6. So if you're cutting that in half or less, that's really rough for channeling. It's a good anti-channel card. Spires, no flying into, out, or over. If it becomes a problem where you have a lot of flying shields from your opponent, you can use this to stop them because they can't go over the space like they normally could. Spirit Mountain counts as mountains, but all spirits may receive channeling on this space. So spirits is a creature type, and basically just it's a power lunch for any spirit in this space. Swamp, another basic. Let's go ahead and we'll throw 1 swamp in. Dry heaps, we'll throw 1 dry heaps in. They're another basic. The Holland's Grove counts as wood. Ranged attacks are allowed in this space. Normally, for woods, no ranged attacks are allowed. So the Holland's Grove is woods that allows ranged attacks. The Mate's Motel counts as dry heaps. Dispel magic may not be played during combat in this space. This is an awesome card. This is from Drifter's Nexus. If we were worried about Dispel Magics, which we always should be, this would be a good one to put 5 of, or, well, maybe not 5. To put a few of these in the deck. You also have an up card of 22. So you're not going to win any friends with an up card of 22. You're not going to get your lowest up card ever. But it's a nice card to put in a deck. We're not going to for this purpose because this is Drifter's Nexus. SS House of Babes counts as rivers and lakes. No bribery versus babes in this area. And the Tomb of Bulzuru counts as swamps and woods. And here's woods. So we'll throw 1 woods in there. And we are at 60. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. We have 7 terrain. That's not terrible. We have 7 terrain, and we decided we had, 3, 6, 10, 14, 18 barnyard animals. And then 4, 8, 12, 15 knights. So we're about half and half knights and barnyard animals. Then we have our Farmer Brown, and then our St. Valentine's, Dispel Magic, and Control Destiny. So what we can also, let's look at our standard bearers. Let's go ahead and clear our filter here. Standard bearers. Let's find one that will work with this deck. So Angelic. Any creature lost in combat on this shield may be returned to your storage hand for 1 power stone if the shield survives combat. This might be a good contender because we can just pay 1 stone to retrieve our knight or our barnyard animal from the discard for 1 power stone, and we can turn around and use, I want to say it's Harkin, that has 10 power stones, so that would actually be a pretty good one to use. All your creatures are +3 vitality versus flyers. Opponent must declare size of their first creature. +2 vitality to creatures under the shield when attacking. So if you're an aggressive player, all of your creatures get +2 vitality when you're attacking. So that's not bad. But that's not what we want because we're going to be blowing these things up. All ranged attacks in combat are -1 strength. We have one ranged attacker, and it's a 3-point. So ranged attack isn't our thing, and we're not afraid of ranged attacks right now, so we're good on that. For 1 Power Stone, you can change a creature's border color for a matchup. That's if you want to start forcing uh, off-color bonuses to really take advantage of those, like Bachumba. Let's look at Bachumba real quick, and then we'll come back here. Bachumba is a 22, and he gets an 11 for his off-color bonus. So he becomes a 33. Now, you can't use that ability against you can't use that ability against a Guardian, but if you know your opponent's going to try to, say, channel a creature to huge or whatnot, making a 33 Bachumba, it just makes a statement. Alright, so where are we at? -3 vitality to all opposing creatures' terrain bonuses. No terrain bonus may be reduced to 0. Okay. If you know your opponent's playing with like a bunch of shield, not a bunch of shield, a bunch of creatures for their terrain bonus, then that would be one thing to worry about. Right now, we are not going to worry about it. +1 vitality to all your creatures' terrain bonus. We're not worried about terrain bonuses. +2 vitality to all off-color bonuses. Again, we talked about that. All chanting into combat on both sides is -3 CMP. That's just like the terrain we just looked at. This is Drifter's Nexus. Spend 1 Power Stone to change any bribery icon to any other bribery. So if we are going to include briberies, we could use this. +2 vitality to each of your creatures with at least 1 bribery icon. So like for, say, pirates, or actually all of our knights have bribery icons, so that would work for them. But again, we're not going to include Drifter's Nexus. We have, when attacking with this shield, add 3 to your vitality for control of space. This works kind of like a giant idol does, but it works anywhere on the field. And let's go ahead. Well, since I mentioned it, maybe it's not giant idol. I know it's idol. Well, we can do name contains large idol. When it's a stronghold upgrade, when determining control of the space after combat in either of the 2 spaces directly in front of the idol, add 3 points to your vitality. Add an additional 3 point for each Power Stone spent. So that's kind of how that works. But again, we're looking at what can we do for a standard bearer that would help us out. No bribery versus creatures under the shield. Now, this is a good contender as well. If we're worried about bribery. Now, we're not going to put any in this deck, and I'll make a whole nother video on bribery. Sometimes it can be a dead card in your hand, candidate for face-down terrain. Sometimes it can win in a clutch environment. It's hard to really say. Opponent must declare the type of his first creature in combat, so this is if you're wanting to aim for those off-color bonuses again. +2 vitality to a creature under the shield when defending, so if you know you're going to be more on the defense. When defending, add 3 strength to all your ranged attacks during combat. So that's kind of cool, but only for defending. Dispel opponent's command card with 1 Power Stone. Now this is the one that I like, and this is the one that I think we're going to choose. I like this angelic one for surviving combat for 1 Power Stone. Do we want to do that? Do we want to recycle our creatures? You know what? We're not going to do anything with our Power Stones anyway, so... Oh, but wait. Let's look at some of these others here. When defending, add 3 strength to all your ranged. Already did that. Plus vitality to all your ranged attacks when attacking. Creatures on the shield win all push matchups, and all channeling to your creatures get +2 CMP. So it's really a toss-up between this Angelic, where you can return them for a Power Stone, or Dispel opponent's command card for 1 Power Stone. We do have the 5 Dispel magics, but this would allow us basically free reign. Now this, ultimately in the end, since there's only going to be 1 of these, we don't need to spend too much time looking at these. We'll try the chicken for this time, and you're obviously more than welcome to try out the Angelic. So in Lackey, one of the nice things that I have set up here is we can go to card pool, add pack or random deck, and here are the shield sets. So here's Ploog's chicken. We can select choose, and then add all to deck. And there's our 70 cards for our deck, because remember it's 60 plus 1 standard bearer plus 9 shields, that's 70. So let's go to our starting tab. So let's type, instead of terrain, let's look at Guardians. Well, we have Necropolis Park, draw 1 card anytime your opponent uses a magic item. Finn, during the draw and organize, draw 1 extra for each swamp you control. Gar, for 2 stones, you can channel 5 points to a creature, which is not a channeling receiver. So he's pretty fun, because that means it's a free power lunch, but it costs you essentially 3 stones, or 2 stones. One, it'll just be 2 stones, because it'll be, I'm stumbling, I'm sorry. 2 stones to activate the ability and give them 5 CMP. Grazoo, every time your opponent plays a bribery card against one of your creatures, you gain a power stone. This is more for like a pirate's deck or something. Harken, yes, Harken. 10 stones. You may not repeatedly channel to the same creature in combat, but 10 stones, so that's always a nice competitor. Kutek? During your draw and organize, draw an extra card for each shield you have lost from play this game. So he's from Necropolis Park. He doesn't get any draw bonuses, so you're looking at a base 2 draw for everything. So you're drawing 2 cards every turn regardless, versus some of these others you can get, Harken here, you get a base draw of 3, most disputed lands +1, lowest up card +1, so you could draw 5 cards that turn. Most of these are that way. Finn, most disputed lands of 0, but lowest up card of +1, so that would be a 3. And same with Esmir. So let's keep looking. We got Patal. For 2 power stones, you may ignore your draw number for the turn and draw as many cards as your opponent of your choice. So if you know your opponent's just going to keep, get their lowest up card bonus or whatnot, you can draw as much as them. Raknam, just a vanilla 3 draw plus with standard stats. He has a 9 CMP, which is nice. You see some of these others are 6 and 7s and 5s. There's an 8. So Raknam is good if we're looking for just a nice generic vanilla channeler. Sin, after an opponent channels, you may cancel it for 2 power stones. No further channeling is allowed by either player. So if you know your opponent has like a heavy channeling deck, this would be a nice counter for it. Sakura, burn 2 power stones to dispel any spell. It's got 8 stones, so you're looking at 4 dispels right there. So that's 4 free dispel magics, which is really nice. But it's only for spells. It's not your command cards. It's not other stuff. So it's a little bit more limited. But you're looking at any spell, so you can dispel a dispel magic, and you can go down that rabbit hole. Tes Let I like for filtering, because he has 6 stones, and if you don't want to take your up card as your first draw, you can discard it and draw it from your deck instead. So if you pull an up card that you really don't want, instead of drawing it, you would just draw all your draw from the deck. He's got base draw of 3, your standard +1 MDL, most disputed lands, -1 least disputed lands, a +1 lowest up card. So you're looking at a potential 5, and if you don't want your up card, which is the top card of your deck, you would take 5 from your deck, or 4 from your deck and your up card if you wanted. I like him. Thack is just another kind of generic 6 stones, 5 CMP. Now, he does not get a minus for his lowest disputed lands. A lot of these others are -1, except for Kutek. -1 on the LDL, but he has a 0, so you're guaranteed 3 every turn. Tukul is draw an extra card from the draw and organize phase if your up card was a small creature. So your spirit deck, your fairies, pixies, some of the slag beasts. This one wouldn't be too bad for those types of decks. In Vecnadra, we're looking at during the draw and organize phase, draw an extra card for each shield you have in your disputed lands. In the disputed lands. So if you have a rush deck where you're just gonna have tons of shields out in play. Now, this is from Drifter's Nexus. It has a base draw of 2 with no modifiers. No pluses, no minuses. Basically, you're getting your draw on the number of shields you can get in play and put them in the disputed lands. So let's go ahead and go with Tes Let this time. And the last thing we need to do is a Stronghold. Oops, I can't spell. Alright, you see each one of these are labeled LRC, left, center, left, right. And they form a picture together. So we have to use the same picture for all of our strongholds. So we have Carreg Amroth, +5 vitality to defending creatures. It's not bad. Drifter's Nexus, 1d6 +1 vitality to defending creatures. Roll once before combat. Freebooter +6. Now, here's something different. So this here is +5 vitality to everything, regardless what side. Same with Drifter's Nexus. So Freebooter, +6 vitality to defending creatures on this side, on the center, but +4 vitality to defending creatures counts as rivers and lakes for the outsides. So if you have a terrain bonus for shields and rivers and lakes, it would apply to the stronghold, but you lose a +2 vitality to defending. This one is +3 vitality to defending creatures. No flying allowed into the space. So as we saw with the Guardian killing, first turn Guardian Killer video, that was using a flying deck. If you think your opponent's going to try some shenanigans like that, absolutely use this because they cannot go into the middle space. The left and right spaces are just +3 vitality. Necropolis Park, we have vitality to defenders. All undead go to your creature penance of discard. Cebu Amantech, +4 vitality to defending, +2 to ranged attacks. So let's just go ahead and we'll do this one here. So now we have our 74 card deck. 70 cards for starting. We'll go ahead and save this deck. And let's do a test draw. Load entire deck to you. We'll go ahead and set out our Guardian, our Stronghold, and draw 12. So, our first draw here, we have a Controlled Destiny, which is nice. We have 2 of them. So we can really start stacking our deck. We got 2 shields, 2 Farmer Browns, and we have 4 knights, 2 Farmer Browns, 2 Barnyard Animals, and 2 shields. So here's where the horse plays double duty. We can build either 1 Farmer Brown and both of these, or we can build a Farmer Brown with the buzzard and then put the horse under the, I can't think of the word, knights. We can put it under the knights, and then we can use Control Destiny to figure out what we want to do. So since we do not have a St. Valentine's right now to start making things explode, I'm not going to turn these face down just for this video. We'll go ahead and we'll make our first exploding shield. And we'll go ahead. Let's see, we have a 7 and 11, so it's 18. 18 plus 6 is 22. And the Marshal will not go out because 22 plus 11 is 33, which is over our limit. And then we will put a shield over Farmer Brown. Shield over here. We'll do our up card, which is a terrain, which is nice, but not for turn 1. And since we drew that, we can go ahead, player Control Destiny, and then reveal to me top 6. And what do we got coming up? Well, there's a St. Valentine's and a Rivers and Lakes, a Dispel Magic, and another. Well, we don't have a Dispel Magic, so let's go ahead and move that up a little bit. Because we know we have an 8, so we're probably not going to get lowest up card, and we're not going to get most of the land, so we're drawing 3. So we'll draw the woods. Let's do the woods, the terrain, and the St. Valentine's is what we'll aim for this turn. And then our up card will be the Dispel Magic, which will be a 3, which should trigger our lowest up card. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we don't need to discard down to 7. Create the creature pen, which is take these 2, move into the creature pen. Oh, we should have done all that before up card. Turn a shield. Okay, well, let's go ahead. We'll turn this shield and move it here. And we're not going to do the other one. Terrain settlement. We'll grab these 2 back. Let's set our stones. Set green to 6. We'll go ahead and we'll take this Marshal, turn him face down, and turn him into a terrain. Now we could have absolutely sat still because we know we have 2 terrain cards coming. Green -1. And we're back at the top. Ready all cards. Create our storage hand, we already did. Oh, draw cards. Okay, so now with Tes Let, if we don't want that woods, we can throw it away and just grab 3 from the deck, but we're not going to do that. Oh, that rotated. We need to lock rotation. Okay, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3. So now we have 2 terrains. We can blow up a shield. All right, this should have gone to the discard. All right, place cards. There's really nothing that we want to place. Alternate playing shields, discard down to 7. Create the creature pen. Well, these 2 go to the creature pen, and this goes to the creature pen. So we also know that we have 2 terrain cards now. So we'll do up card. We got that we knew. So that's already 4 of the 6 cards that we saw before. So let's go ahead and do another Control Destiny. And reveal to me top 6. Let's see, there's another Control Destiny. So we're not getting much barnyard animals, so we can drop Farmer Brown down a little bit. So we'll get another terrain, which is good. Another swordsman, shield. Alright, so let's play it that way. Alright, turn a shield and move it. And then turn a shield and move it. Terrain settlement. We'll go ahead and slide this woods under here. And underneath this shield, we can put our rivers and lakes. And then ready our cards and draw. So we'll say we got the lowest up card. So we're going to get 4. We want this. And then 2, 3. And that's pretty much how this deck plays out. Some of my other testing. Let's do one more just initial draw here. New game. Load entire deck to me. Draw 12. Alright, so we have terrain, barnyard animal, spell, shield, knight, spell. So that's not the greatest start. We can do one more. And draw 12. This is a little bit more variety here. So we got 3 terrains. And 2. So we may want to look at possibly dropping some control destiny, but I like them for the filtering that they do, and lets you obviously set up your next round or two. So if we do, let's see, reveal top 6, because we'll play this on turn 1. We can kind of set up our next turn, because we know. So we have 1 St. Valentine's, 1 Knight, 1 Farmer Brown, and 2 barnyard animals. So we can move this here. We need a shield. And we can also, actually, this would have been our up card. Anyway, so that's how that's done. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And I will look forward to seeing you next video.